Hey guys, what's up? So this video is about the Fire&Flamethrower guide that I made over a year ago, and I keep updating it since Incursion League. That was when I first made the guide. So Fire Trap and Flamethrowers are an off-meta skill that most people maybe don't even know that they exist, but they are very powerful and capable of being a solid league starter, boss killer, you know, progress through your atlas, everything like that. So it's a trapper, so it is slower compared to miners these days. But if you feel like trying a new skill or trying a trapper that has a very high potential of killing bosses very fast, and also, as I said earlier, that a very solid league starter, so give it a try. And also it's a fire skill, and we already know that most people probably think the same. Fire skills aren't very good at the moment in the game. Most people prefer, you know, cold skills or even lightning skills like arc, maybe spark. So make sure that you read the guide after watching the video. If you are watching the video first, make sure you read the guide, because of course I can't, you know, cover up everything in the video. That will be too long, and I'm sure the video will be long enough even like this. So make sure you read the guide, because this is very detailed. I keep updating it, so I will also put a link down below if you somehow find the video first from the YouTube. So let's start. The reason for I'm trying to, you know, make a video guide is I always thought about that, but I didn't feel like it, because reading is, in my opinion, is better at learning, you know. But I also played a different version in this league, 3.9 Metamorph, with a Scion Ascendant. So it is not a shadow, this one is a shadow right now. We are gonna start off with this one. There will also be timestamps below, so check those out if you are interested in any certain point. So because I also played as a Scion, I decided to shoot a video now. So let's start with the shadow one first. So this is the one with only using fire trap. If you scale your fire trap damage enough, you don't need flamethrowers. So this one is more expensive. We are gonna start with this one first, and I'm gonna show the flamethrower version, and then finally the Scion. And I'm also gonna mention some stuff about, you know, essences, crafting. They are all written in the guide, by the way, but I'm gonna show them real quick in the video. So let's start. So first of all, you want a good bow to play with only fire trap. You want a bow with, you know, plus gems. You can also go with a staff. There are some very godlike stuffs right now in the game, like plus 2 or 3, I guess, fire gems, also spell gems, or maybe global. I'm not really sure. I don't play with stuffs. So yeah, you can get up to like 4 or 5 plus gems on a staff, and you can only get like plus 1 on a bow. But if you play with a bow, you can also equip a quiver, which you cannot do if you are playing with a staff. So using a quiver has lots of upsides, like lots of critical strike and multi, and also maybe some missing stats, like resistance if you need. Also it has a decent life on it, up to 99 life. And there are also some good stuff on shape quivers. I'm not really sure about the new influence types yet, so I'm not gonna talk about that. You can check those out on PoE database website. So I'm sure there are some new other cool stuff. So you can play with a bow and quiver like I did, or if you have a godlike stuff that I said earlier, you can go with a staff. So you need to scale your fire trap level a lot. Otherwise, its damage won't be enough to kill bosses very fast on its own. So you should go and play with the fire trap and flamethrower version combined. Let's start with the gem levels now, gem setup for fire trap. As you can see that it is 27 level right now, and I don't have a level. Let's check. Yeah, I have a level 3 empower right now. If you use a level 4, it's gonna be 28. So it's a very huge difference compared to not playing with a bow or maybe a plus gem. So 28, up to 28 fire trap, cluster traps. So this lets you throw 3 traps at a time. Without that, you only throw 1. There is also multiple trap support that also throws 2 additional, but its throwing style is very weird and not focused on one place. So as you are leveling, you first start with multiple traps, because cluster comes at level 38 at Act 4. Once you have cluster, make sure you switch your gems. As you can see, cluster has more focused throwing style, so you don't miss while damaging bosses. So it is better overall. So fire penetration, that is a must, of course. Trap and mine damage. So this one has a very high more damage multiplier, 52%, but this also reduces your trap throwing speed. So as you can see, it can be faster, but once you have enough damage, you can take this out. I don't have one at the moment on me. I have that on a Scion. There's a gem called charge traps. So make sure you use charge traps instead of trap and mine damage for mapping only, and switch that with trap and mine damage when you are going for big bosses like Shaper, tier 16 Guardians, maybe new bosses, the Conquerors, Uber Elder, Uber Adzuri, all kind of stuff. You can also play with trap and mine damage until you level up your gems and gear up your character, because it has more damage multiplier. Charge traps is a quality of life, improvement for mapping, because you throw a lot faster. So that's the thing that I wanted to mention. Combustion. So this is of course more fire damage, and also enemies ignited by support skills have minus 21% to fire resistance, which is very nice. Even more penetration. So penetration is mostly needed for elites and bosses. You can use maybe Awakened increased area of effect, that is a new gem instead of combustion, if you think your damage is enough and if you have the money for that. So even increase your area even higher, but you will lose some damage. But if you are comfortable with your damage, you can even go for that. That's a big AoE increase. Even now the AoE isn't that bad, because once you scale your level, the AoE goes big. So this is capable of one-shotting an entire pack. Just one set of traps one-shots everything. But you can, more AoE doesn't hurt, right? So you can go with Awakened increased area instead of this one maybe. Or just check Path of Building and switch with something else. Empower. Empower is only needed when you are playing with a bow or a stuff like this one, plus level of socketed gems. Otherwise it's gonna be level 3, which only increases, or it's gonna be level 4 if you have it. So it only increases the gem level like 2 or 3, which isn't that high for a trap build. You need to scale your Empower even higher. So you need a plus gem two-handed weapon, and also multi-craft plus 2 level of socketed support gems. So my Empower gets level 3 bonus with this one, so it's now level 6. It can be level 7 if you have level 4 Empower. So it's gonna be up to 6 level of gems. So it increases your fire traps level by 6, which is huge. So Empower is your last socketed gem. If you are not gonna play with only fire trap, you don't need to invest this much in your fire trap. You can play with controlled destruction. And where is that? Here. You can play with controlled destruction instead of Empower, or increase critical strikes. This doesn't have enough, compared damage to controlled destruction. This has less damage. It's a weaker gem, but it is, of course, gives you damage. And if your crit chance is lower than 50%, you can consider using critical strikes and then switch to control destruction when you have enough critical. So this is the gem setup for fire trap. What else? So Fruit of Lightning, this gets asked a lot. Let's start with buffs and I will explain this one. So Anger, of course, adds fire damage to spells and attacks. So we are playing a spell build, so the attack portion doesn't work. So this adds a lot of fire damage, so it's a very big damage buff. This reserves 50% of your mana. Herald of Ash, 25% reservation. Gives, let's see, 12% more spell fire damage. And also 15% increased fire damage, which isn't a lot, but it's a little damage bonus. The other stuff that you read here doesn't work with fire trap, so 15% physical as extra fire damage, that doesn't work because this is not a physical spell. And also the base burning damage is, let's say, normally Herald of Ash lets you ignite, not ignite, burn targets that you make some overkill damage. So this only works with the skills that you are casting on your own, so it doesn't work with traps. So that portion also doesn't work, but the main reason for Herald of Ash is that 12% more spell fire damage. It's a more damage, so it's a good damage boost. But that is not a very high damage boost, so once you have enough gear and level all your gems, and also level to at least 90 levels, right? You don't have to use Herald of Ash. You can go for even a more defensive style. We have some options. So one of them is Purities. It doesn't have to be lightning, but lightning or fire is better in my opinion. The reason for that is you are playing a shadow, right? You have Pyromaniac. So it says immune to ignite and shock. So we are still not immune to freeze and chill, so we need that on one of our flasks. So why I talked about this? Because if you are using a Purity of Lightning, the main reason that I am using a Purity of Lightning is because of the Watcher's Eye jewel. So it says 9% physical damage from hits taken as lightning damage while affected by Purity of Lightning. This gives a very good bonus against, a protection against physical attacks. Because this is a trap character, you don't have that much armor like a Juggernaut or a Slayer or Champion, right? So this is a dodge character with high evasion. So you need some physical mitigation for mostly red maps. So this makes a huge difference. So if you are using something like this, make sure you buy with Purity of Lightning or Purity of Fire, because that up to 10% physical damage from hits taken as lightning, fire, or it can even be cold. But if you get hit like that with this jewel, that monster's attack will also cause you some ailment depending on the damage type. So if you buy one with Purity of Ice, and I said that we are not immune to chill and freeze, we are only immune to ignite and shock. If your flask isn't up, let's say a high physical damage monster attacked you and you don't have this one up, you can basically get frozen or chilled. So that can cause you to be killed. So if you pick a one with Purity of Lightning or Fire, that monster also shocks or ignites you, but you won't get those debuffs, ailments, because you are already immune. That's why you need to pick one with Lightning or Fire. Actually, Fire is the best option because Purity also gives you 4 additional maximum lightning resistance. So it is 79%. So if you are using a fire, it will be 79% fire. Why is it better? Because check this one. 5% of physical damage from hits taken as fire damage. This is a craft you do from the bench. You need to get this one from June's. I believe it is from this guy. So you need to have this guy in your syndicate group. And once you unveil some helms, you will eventually find that craft. So check that out on Gamepedia or PoE database. I think that's the right guy, but check it out, maybe I'm wrong. So once you have this craft, if you are using a Purity of Fire, so this will even mean more mitigation. So it is better with Purity of Fire if you use this kind of craft. If you don't have this, or if you don't bother with it, just go with Purity of Lightning. It gets the job done. Also, you need one with something with anger, like a penetration or critical multiplier. So this is about the buffs. So there's also Spider. I suggest you put Spider on your rings or amulet, because if you can also craft this one. This is a suffix, by the way. Suffix modifier of Venomous. You can craft this one from beast recipes. Where is it? I'm not sure if I have any. Let's see. Yeah, I have it. So this guy, Venomous First of the Night. You just go to the menagerie, put your item in the altar, check this one. Make sure you have an open suffix, otherwise you cannot do that. Don't pay overpriced spider items on the market. Just buy the beast. Do it yourself. But you need some chaos resistance, otherwise you can die pretty fast while fighting the guy in the arena. Make sure you bring a friend. Make sure bring some help if you don't have enough chaos resistance, because if you die, your item won't get destroyed. You can still pick it up from the altar, but the beast will escape, so you will waste your money. So make sure you have high chaos resistance before killing this guy, or bring some friends so you can just burst it together. Even if one of you dies, the other can kill, right? So you're gonna say, how are we gonna use all these buffs? So as I said earlier, you don't use Herald of Ash once you have enough damage. So your buff setup will be Spider, Anger, and Purity. So this is better for defensive style. If you are killing Uber Elder or Shaper, you can dodge every attack, right? So you don't need Purity at all, because you are not gonna go and face tank any melee attacks. You don't need that physical mitigation. So you can just go with Herald of Ash for more damage against that kind of fights. Also, it can be useful against some of the new bosses, the Conquerors. So make sure you know what you are doing and switch your buffs depending on the situation. But Spider helps a lot, so I highly suggest you use this one. What it does is, if you don't know, increases the damage taken of the monster and also slows them. It also has, I believe, 3 stacks, so it's gonna be 15% damage increase, if I'm not wrong. So it's gonna be more damage and they are gonna be slower. So it is very good for mapping, and also it works against bosses. It has no diminishing return, I guess, not like curses. So it works the same against any kind of bosses like Shaper, Uber Elder. So correct me if I'm wrong, but that should be the case. So about jewelry, I'm gonna go into detail crafting later. There's gonna also be that in the description. So I didn't mention how I did my helm, but that's about fossils, so that's gonna be later in the video. So amulet, just typical stuff. Crit multiplier. Crit multiplier is more important. Make sure you get crit multiplier. A decent life, some stats if you need, like strength mostly, maybe dexterity depending on your bow if you are playing with a bow, and life. Mana doesn't do anything, it doesn't have to be mana. Some resistance maybe. Open prefix is nice for some area effect and damage. There's also lots of different options thanks to the crafting system. So maybe you can get, I'm not sure if there is anything else that is good. If you need some more defensive, you can pick one with open suffix and put +1 minimum endurance charges. This will even help more against physical monsters. So it has some physical mitigation if you have endurance charge. We normally get endurance charge from our gloves, but it's not like a very high percentage, right? 10% only. So having a minimum endurance charge can help you a lot to be tankier. You can put that on all of your jewelry. So you can have 3 minimum endurance charges, and that's also your maximum by default. So that's a very good defensive bonus. You can go for that. So rings, again, strength if you need. Strength also gives life, so it's a very good stat. Life, resistance. You can pick diamond rings, opal rings if you kept your resistance, or if you can cap your resistance easily, so even get more damage. There's also fire damage suffix on rings, which I don't have on this one. So you can even go for fire damage. You can also craft your own with essences. So read the bottom text, other jewelry, increased fire damage. So the higher the better the essence, the more damage you get. So All of these are written in the guide, by the way. Make sure you read the appropriate sections. But yeah, that's how you can craft your rings. This one is also very good. Essence of Scorn. It gives a global critical strike multiplier on rings. So essences are very useful for crafting rings. So you can go for that. So for this one, maybe this confuses some people. I already wrote that in the guide, but maybe you missed it. You don't need Assassin's Mark. This was a ring that I also used on on one of my other characters. So Assassin's Mark doesn't do anything for us, so ignore that. You only want life, resistance, and an open suffix on any of your rings or amulet, so you can get spider. That's it. So that's about the rings. So this hand, this gloves, I also get lots of questions about this one. So this is an item that is introduced in the Incursion League. That was when I first made the video, the guide, I mean. But now every master is in the core game, so you can access Alva's temple a lot, unless you are playing solo self-found. It is easier to buy this one, but if you are lucky, you can craft this on your own. So you need Alva's temple with the room. Let's see, yeah, this one, sacrificial chamber. You need to upgrade this to level 3. Once this is level 3, you need architect's hand or glove, something like that. Just type this Slavedriver's hand in the Path of Exile Gamepedia and it will tell you what to do. So it's architect's hand, I guess, the lower version of this glove. So make sure you put that in the sacrificial chamber, and also you need vial of I'm not gonna say it because I think I don't know the correct name. So make sure you check Path of Exile Gamepedia. So you need that appropriate vial. It is written in the Gamepedia, so just check it there. So make sure you put the gloves and the vial together in the sacrifice chamber, and then it will give you Slavedriver's hand. So this is needed mostly for league start because, you know, most people can't progress through maps very fast in the first week. So that means that less people are gonna craft this one, so the market price will be high. Usually there will only be like 1 or 2 guys selling this gloves in the first week, and it's gonna be at least 1 exalted, so it is an overprice. So if you can, or one of your friends, if you are playing with friends, can get sacrificial room level 3, make sure you craft this on your own. It will only cost you like 5 chaos. Otherwise you're gonna have to wait or pay that 1 exalted. If you wait at least a week, it's gonna be under 50 chaos. Most of the time 30-40 chaos, which is very cheap. I'm sure it is below 10 chaos after some point. So yeah, the price changes a lot at league start. So that's how you get this one. So this is why you want this gloves. It says skills which throw traps have blood magic. So as you can see, I reserved almost all my mana, and I can even reserve all my mana if I don't use Herald of Ash. So let me show you that real quick. No, so we don't have any mana left right now, and the skill costs like 72 mana, but I can still throw it because it's going from your life pool. So this basically makes your traps free. And so you can reserve more mana. Also this gives you some area effect. It's like a +1 radius on your fire trap, which is very nice, and also 10% chance on gaining, you know, endurance frenzy or power charges, which is also very nice. It also says that 24 reduced trap throwing speed. It actually doesn't lower your trap speed because, read the next section, increases and reductions to cast speed also apply to trap throwing speed. So I'm not sure if we have any, let's see. Yeah, we have some 5% cast speed here, some here, also here, and I don't think we have more. But we get some cast speed from the tree, alright. If you are playing with one-handers, you can also put cast speed on those if you want. So you can scale your trap throwing even higher. There are some people also likes to play with faster casting on their fire trap instead of some least damage gem. So let's see. But charge traps is better, so I'm just gonna mention what the gloves doing, you know. Don't use faster casting, go for charge traps. But it can also increase your throw time. Let's see, this is our normal throwing speed now. You see the difference, right? So having a faster throwing and casting speed helps with throwing your traps. But of course use charge traps, not faster casting, and if you can get some cast speed from your maybe jewels or weapons, you can put them and it will even increase your trap throwing higher. So there are lots of good stuff about these gloves. And for belt, skin wise is of course very good because you have open socket on that for a jewel. What you want is, again, if you need some strength, go for it. Life resistance, maybe some flask stuff. Flask life recovery rate isn't needed. That's what I got. There are some good flask modes like reduce flask charges, increase flask duration. Those are very good. If you have an open suffix like this, you can also craft this one. A chance for flask you use to not consume charges, it is good. You can also put damage on it. So there is damage. Of course the highest one is expensive, just go with this one, forecast. But I like to, you know, sustain my flask, so this can help you a little. There is actually a better version, I guess this is the bad one. It should be 8% if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, there are some cool stuff that you can craft on your belt. You can also craft your belt on your own, which I'm gonna talk about in the crafting section. And finally, boots. So this character doesn't have dodge boots. Normally there are some boots that has dodge attack or dodge spell on them. Make sure you try to get one of those. It has, I have that boots on my other character, but this guy hasn't. And make sure you also go for the labyrinth and craft that enchant, critical strike chance, if you haven't crit recently, or you can also get the penetration one. It is also a very good enchant, but this is what I got, so I am playing with that. So it says that a very high critical strike chance, right? But it says if you haven't crit recently, so you are gonna say this is a crit build, you are critting all the time, so how is this working? So right now our crit chance without any power charges is almost 50%. With power charges it's like 58, I guess, or 56, something like that. So you crit all the time. So normally this shouldn't work, right? But it says if you haven't crit recently, so you are not attacking or you are not doing anything, actually your traps are doing the thing for you. So traps doesn't count as player, alright? So you don't lose this buff at all. So this means that 120% increased critical strike chance all the time. Also same goes for the penetration enchant. It also says if you haven't killed recently, I believe, so you are not doing any killing, so you don't lose that enchant buff also. So that's also a very good enchant. So make sure you have one with crit or penetration on your boots. That will increase your damage a lot. So if you have the crit one, we have 49%, now 42%. That's like more than 7% critical strike, which is very big, very big damage increase. So for flasks, there are lots of options. So Quicksilver is a must, of course, with movement speed on it. Actually, this one is wrong. I probably mixed stuff because this is currently in standard. You need one with increased duration and movement speed. So a diamond flask with freeze or curse immunity and also again duration. So Wise Oak, this can be a hard to cap. So if you are playing with Purity of Lightning, you need to balance your resist with that. I didn't do that on this character, so without Purity I am capped, but with Purity I lose that. So I don't use Purities on bosses, so that's how I get my Wise Oak bonus. So make sure you figure that out. You need to do that on your own. No one can help you, so you need to balance your resistances. So what this flask does is 10% reduced damage taken of each element for which your uncapped element resist. I'm gonna explain this. And also penetrate 15%, that's up to 15. So make sure you buy one with good rolls, at least 14%. Penetrates, and what it says is your highest uncapped elemental. So uncapped means the numbers that's written in the parentheses, alright? So right now our lightning is the highest. So this means that we penetrate lightning right now, and 10% reduced damage taken with the lowest. So this means that our fire and cold is the lowest right now, so they are equal, so we get the bonus for both of them at the same time. So right now I am dealing lightning penetration and taking reduced damage from fire and cold at the same time. So we are playing a fire build, so as I said earlier that I'm not capped with Purity of Lightning, so without Purity I am capped now. So all of them are balanced right now. So this means that I am penetrating 15% for all elements. We are not dealing anything other than fire. We have some cold from a jewel, I guess, it doesn't matter. This is a fire build. So make sure your fire resistance is your highest, or if you can balance, just balance them all. The penetration portion doesn't work, of course, because we are not dealing any other damage, but we are gonna take 10% reduced damage from everything, so that's a very huge defensive bonus. So make sure you at least make your fire resistance highest and try to balance the other two, so you take reduced damage from cold and lightning together at least, or just balance them all and benefit from every element. So that's a very huge bonus. Quartz Flask, this gives more dodge and also phasing. Phasing is very good for labyrinth and also some maps with tight corridors, so you don't get stuck with you don't collide with the monsters. You can pass through the monsters. It's also again very good for labyrinth. You don't have to use this one for bosses. This is mostly for mapping. So there are lots of different options for flasks. There's also Basalt Flask, which I always use because we lack physical damage reduction. So this is very helpful for mapping. So instead of quartz, I go with basalt. There is also Abzer's Promise instead of Wise Oak. So if your chaos resist is low, which it's probably gonna be because it's very hard to cap chaos resist in this game. So with the flask, you'll gain some chaos resist, which is very nice. So instead of Wise Oak, you can go with Osiris Promise. This also gives some damage, 15% elemental damage as extra chaos damage, so it's a little damage boost. The leech and the physical part doesn't work with this build, so you only get that 15% elemental damage as extra chaos. So this is also a good flask. If you are rich or somehow you got it yourself from the Cortex, Bottled Fate flask is very nice. It's the best damage flask probably in the game, so you can also use that. So basically 1 Quicksilver, Diamond, a Life Flask, for mapping a Defensive Flask, and finally 1 unique, or depending on bossing, 2 uniques for bosses. Alright, that is my advice. Also Bottled Fate is your 3rd unique if you have it, yeah. Just don't use Osiris Promise if you have Bottled Fate, of course. So what else? I hope I don't miss stuff, but as I said earlier, that you should read the guide carefully, because I will probably miss lots of stuff in the video. So I think we should finish the crafting section, so we don't do anything else with the gear. Then I'm gonna talk real quick with the skill tree, and I'm gonna show you the Scion version, and that's gonna probably be it. So for crafting, there are lots of pieces that you can craft on your own. Crafting is actually cheaper most of the time, because some stats that they aren't always on the market. So one of them is this helmet. Nearby enemies have -9% fire resistance. So this comes from fossils. Of course it says nearby enemies, so it's not gonna be up all the time, but most of the time you are gonna benefit, get benefit from that. So it's a very good damage boost. So you can go for a helm like this. So it is impossible to find a helm like this with both enchant and the correct craft on it. So you need to craft it on your own. So no one's gonna sell a helm with, anger has reduced mana reservation, or fire trap damage, or also flamethrower additional 2 flames. Those are the enchants for this build. So there won't be any on the market with that enchant and also a craft like this one. It's impossible. No one's gonna do that. So you need to do that on your own. So how are you gonna do that? So make sure you buy a helm with the correct enchant. You can safely scour or scouring that helmet. The enchant will never go. Alright, you can safely craft it as many times as you want, so the enchant isn't going anywhere. Alright, so what fossils do you need for that fire resistance thing? You need Scorched. I also have this one, I guess. Yeah, Scorched fossil. So this lets you craft that nearby enemies have -9. Of course you are not gonna get this one all the time, so you need to keep trying. So a Scorched fossil and also a pristine fossil. So this lets you get a higher chance of getting life modifiers. So you have a higher chance of getting life on your helmet. So make sure you use these both together on a 2-socket resonator. That's how you craft your helm. So what else you can craft? Belt. So I actually crafted this one with fossils, but I didn't get any fossil mods, but the belt was very good, so I didn't want to craft another one. So normally what you are trying to look for is fire damage or elemental damage on your belt, which I don't have, as I said just now. So how are you gonna do that? So this one gets actually a little bit expensive, but it's up to you. So there are two different you can craft this one with two different styles. Alright, so first one is Pristine, again for life, and Scorched, goes in the 2-socket resonator like your helmet. So this one lets you get fire damage and also life, a higher chance of life. So try this until you get one with good life and fire damage and maybe some resistances if you need them. You can even go bigger with 3-socket resonator with prismatic fossil. So you socket these all three in. So this time you can get life, fire damage, and also elemental damage. So it's gonna be two different damage modes, which is even increase your damage higher. So but that's more expensive, of course. So there are lots of different ways to craft your belt, and these are probably the two reasonable ones to craft with fossils. I already talked about the essences on your rings and amulet. There's also this guy here. Two-handed weapons increase spell damage, so you need this one for your bow if you are not gonna play with a multi-moded bow. So you can use this one to get a very high spell damage on your bow. Make sure you have an open suffix or find critical multiplier on its own. If you have an open suffix and don't have critical multiplier, craft it on your bow and you are good to go. Spell damage and critical multiplier is what you are looking for. If you are lucky, you can also get +1 gems. So this is the budget option. This one is expensive, this one is budget. You can also get the bow with porcupine cards. So it is very cheap, a 6-link bow. And I think that's about the gear. Now let's talk about the talent tree real quick, and then I'm gonna show you the Scion Ascendant version. That is, Scion has completely new items, so different playstyle, so it's a very different build. So we're gonna talk about that. So there is leveling trees in the path of building, so make sure you check those. Where is that? Yeah. So lots of builds. There's the this one. So if you check here, you can see that there are leveling trees. So make sure you follow this if you don't know what you are doing. And yeah, so you go by damage nodes, elemental damage. You can also pick these three instead of these. They provide the same damage, nothing changes. So just pick whichever you want. It doesn't matter, they provide the same damage. And then you come here, some life, critical strike, trap damage, and also lets you have 2 additional traps placed at a time. This is only useful against essence monsters, shaper, and metamorph, where you can precast your traps before the monster appears, right? So right now you can get 24 traps, so you basically one-shot most of the stuff if you do this. So this lets you do that. Also you can go from this way for increased throw speed. I don't know why I have this one. It should actually be never mind. Yeah, just go with this one. Trap throwing is more important. Then you go here, live, some critical here for spells. So fire trap is a spell, so you can check the tags: trap, spell, duration, AoE, and fire. So you pick spell crit or global crit wherever you can, and also trap associated stuff. So here is blast cascade, critical multiplier, and 15% chance on gaining a power charge when your trap is triggered. We also have this one, 10%, so it is like 25% right now. So you always have those power charges every time you use traps. So this is the big trap wheel, some trap damage, and also your traps can't be damaged for 5 seconds after being thrown. This is a must, so make sure you get this very fast. For more critical stuff, some penetration, very good. Life. So acrobatics and phase acrobatics, this is a dodge character, of course, so you need to get these ones very fast. You don't need to get phase acrobatics until you start mapping, so just pick acrobatics and take the phase acrobatics later. That's what I always do, but you can pick everything from start if you want. So more life here. Master Sapper, this again has 2 additional traps and also 15% chance on gaining a friend's charge. So the thing about this one is you actually lose some points on traveling and also 3 points to this one. So actually they changed this one's place. It used to be here. So now it's a little waste of points. So what you can do is, so now there's blight oils in the game. This character was before blight leak, so this is my tree. So you can just anoint your amulet with this one and completely respect these points, so that will save you a lot of points. You can even go for maybe more life if you are missing anything, maybe another jewel socket. You can go here, get devotion, a very big HP boost. Probably this is the best way of doing that. If you anoint your amulet, just go here, get more life. Alright, so you can do that. More critical stuff, jewels, of course, herbalism, more life, and there's a little traveling here. So Throat Seeker for critical multiplier, this increases your damage a lot. You can get this one at late game after level 85, 90. So this is mainly for boss killing because it has a lot of critical multiplier. Jewel, some life and resist here. Again critical. Life and mana. Mana doesn't do anything for us, but of course there is life here. You can get blast radius if you want, only 3 points. That's gonna increase your radius by 1 or maybe 2, I'm not sure. Check path of building. But once you have enough fire trap level, you will have enough radius, so it's a little waste of points, 3 points, alright. I don't pick this one. So you travel through Templar now, get quick recovery for some life regen and life. Another jewel, so some damage, life. So I picked this area nodes here, area of effect. So you increase your fire traps area a little. You can also pick this one, as I already said, and even increase higher. Some damage and resist, and that's it. There are actually some good points that you can get, but I'm already at level 95, so you need to sacrifice something to get those. Maybe go here for more life instead of some damage nodes, maybe Doomcast or Throat Seeker. Maybe you can do that if you want more life. There is also a jewel here for 3 points. If you have very good jewels, you can go for that. What else? So some people take these guys, but we are not playing mind over matter, so I don't think that is a wise choice, so forget about those. There's some fire damage and fire resist here, you can get that. Also 5% cast speed. I believe it also increases your throwing speed because you have Slavedriver, so this can be good if you want. And I don't think there is much else. There's also a jewel here for 2 points. Yeah, that is better if you have Master Sapper unlocked like this. So it's only 2 points away. And that's about the tree. Now let's talk about the Scion real quick. The video is already long enough. It will gonna take me a lot of time to upload it with my bad internet speed. So it's in Metamorph League now. Let's check it. So this one has very different item setup. The whole idea is very different. So this is a very different build. So first of all, you are Scion. I need to put this on the guide, that's why I unsocketed this. So as you can see, my life is lower. It's actually 4k because I don't have this one socketed. But we also have mind over matter. So let's start with the tree first and the ascension, then the items. So you want Saboteur for penetration, life regen again, and that blind won't work, and some area effect, yeah. And then you have two options. You can either go Pathfinder for more movement speed, and Flask gain 3 charges every 3 seconds, which is very good. Also penetration again, and 15% chance for Flask you use not consume charges. So this lets you just spam your Flasks all the time. So it is very strong for mapping and long boss fights like Uber Elder, Sirus, if you are capable of killing him. I only got to 25% last phase, so it's a little hard with a trapper. Maybe I need more experience. It's a hard boss overall. If you don't want Pathfinder, if you need more damage for some reason, just go Inquisitor. So what does this do? 30% critical strike multiplier against enemies that are affected by elemental ailments. So we ignite the target. So this means you have 30% crit multiplier all the time. Also 6% resistance penetration again. And 10% chance to create consecrated ground, but I don't think that works with traps. But the good part is immune to elemental ailments while on consecrated ground, which is very good. So make sure you use a sulfur, I don't know, flask, or even a bottle fate if you have. So you are basically immune while you are standing on your consecrated ground, immune to elemental ailments. So that is very good. Also the final thing that makes you hit even more against bosses. Nearby enemies take 10% increased elemental damage. That is very huge. So this is why Inquisitor has better damage potential and also immunity. So it's a good choice, you can go for that. But Pathfinder is better for mapping overall. So I started with Inquisitor, and when I had enough damage I switched to Pathfinder. That's how I did it. But you can go for Inquisitor all the time. So the tree is, of course, this is a Scion and very different stuff going on. So what's going on here? So there are some resistance and a jewel socket here. You go to Constitution for some life. You go here for some mana recovery, mana, again mana, mana recovery from flasks, reduce flask charge used, very nice, and also 8% increased flask effect. So here's some life, and again another flask effect. So we basically focus on flask stuff because we are playing Pathfinder. So if you are not familiar with Scion, you can see that the tree isn't connected. So you basically need to get Path of Shadow. So this lets you allocate passives from the Shadow starting point. So you can actually delete all of these and your tree will be similar to Shadows. So being a Scion has some good sides like that. So you just go from Shadow like this. Again, same tree. So yeah, one of the main reasons the tree changes also, you need some trap area effect. Because if you are playing with a Shadow, you have chain reaction, which lets you, when your traps trigger, your nearby traps also trigger. So let's say you throw a trap, and let's say this one gets triggered, the other one also gets automatically triggered if you are playing a Shadow, but that's not the case on Scion. You need to increase your trap radius so that your traps trigger all the time. That is very important, otherwise you cannot play the build basically, because your traps won't get triggered. So make sure you get enough trap trigger nodes. So one of them is here. This one has a lot of trap trigger area effect. So again, life, grid, same stuff. Blast cascade, trap wheel, jewel. So for this jewel socket you want unnatural instinct. You can read all the bonuses here. Just pause the video if you want. And again, acrobatic, phase acrobatics, grid, another jewel, life, more flask and mana. Again, mana and flask. So again, you are going for the witch area. I couldn't get Throat Seeker because I barely got everything that I wanted. So if you can push even higher level, you can get that. So this part is a little weird. Let me explain. So you want this jewel, Middleton Fate, with High Templar Venerius on it, alright? There are 3 different versions. You want one with High Templar Venerius. So what does this do? You can socket this everywhere, alright, but it won't make any sense. You will get some devotions, right? +5. You don't need that. What you want is a keystone. So Pain Attunement, 30 more spell damage when on low life. That has nothing to do with us, but once you socket this in, it's now the Agnostic. So we had some Energy Shield before, now we don't have it. We don't really need that. Now the thing about this one is, while not on full life, sacrifice 20% of mana per second to recover that much life. So we have a very high mana pool. You can even go higher. Mine isn't actually that good. You can even go for 5k mana. And you basically automatically sacrifice your mana and heal your life. Alright? So this works on its own. You don't do anything at all. You just need a mana flask up all the time. We are playing a Pathfinder, so this is always up. Make sure your flask effect is not removed at full mana. That is very important. And also roll a freeze or curse immunity on it. So you lose your mana and heal yourself, so it balances each other. So you basically don't lose any mana because you have a lot of mana regeneration and also mana flask up all the time. So you basically heal insane amount by using Agnostic. So we also pick these up, 5% flask duration and mana recovery. This one is actually something entirely different, so you don't pick this. Maybe if you have a better jewel, because these are always random, maybe you can pick this one if you have something good, but make sure you have at least 150 devotion. So you need to count these like 10, 20, 30, 40, alright? 50, you can go this way and get also these. So if you have I believe that you can get 150 here. So if you have some good stuff in these ones, make sure you have 150 devotion and pick that up. I had lightning exposure, so it doesn't work with me, alright? So let's finish the tree. Another mana node, life mana, damage, crit, jewel, some more mana and block, a little block, also spell damage and mana and life. So about the jewels, I already talked about trap trigger radius, so you need to maximize your radius so all your traps always trigger. So you pick this area, make sure you use 2 hair triggers. These are very cheap, so get one with corrupted blood, so you are also immune to corrupted blood. You are playing a trapper, so you don't get corrupt blood most of the time, but sometimes it happens. So this one was like 5 chaos, so make sure you buy one with a corrupted blood. So this doesn't matter where you put them in, just put them that is not here or here. Okay, so 2 hair triggers and again a Watcher's Eye with penetration. And yeah, these are about the jewels, radius, and also make sure you anoint your amulet with Master Sapper to get that friend's charge and area effect. So if you have 2 hair triggers, anoint this one, pick here, you will have enough radius to your traps to trigger all the time. So make sure you focus on those. You can even use more hair triggers until you level up. And drop to 2 of those later when you have the anoint, and you will get this one very early. So let's say until you get the anoint, you can use 3 hair triggers. Alright, and that's about the tree. And let's talk about the items, and that's gonna be it, I guess. So we are playing a Mind Over Matter build. We are sacrificing our mana a lot due to Agnostic. So we need some help from our gear to sustain the mana and increase the mana more. So at Sirus Foible, this one gives huge mana and regeneration. So this is basically a must. It doesn't have anything with damage modes, but this will increase your mana and mana regen a lot. So it is only a few chaos with good rolls, so it is a very cheap amulet. By the way, the anoint is also very cheap. The only expensive one is the opalescent oil. It is like 15 chaos, I guess. Black oil is like 4 chaos, I guess. It's only 20 chaos to anoint this. So this amulet is like 20-25 chaos, which is nothing. So make sure you get one with high mana regeneration and mana. You don't want to reserve your mana, so use a essence form with anger on it. We only use clarity as extra, so we reserve a little mana. Some rings, you can put mana and mana regeneration on your rings, the other ring, because other one is obviously essence form. So you can even get more mana on this one. So that's why I said that you can even get more mana. You can easily get at least 4k mana. So make sure you put, mana, life, resist, fire damage. Vermilion rings are very nice. Also, what are the other rings? The new ones that has mana. I forgot the name, but you can check that out and find it. So that one has increased maximum mana as an implicit. So you can also craft those for even more mana. That's about jewelry. Again, belt, similar stuff that I talked about earlier. Life, resist, and craft it a fossil. So I get this one elemental damage now. Weapons, they don't have to be scepters. They can be wands or daggers. Make sure you get plus level of all fire spell or plus level of all spell gems. So you increase your fire trap by 2 levels if you dual wield. You can also get a weapon with +1 fire and +1 spell. It can happen on a single weapon. So this way you will get 4 levels if you use 2 of those. But that's gonna be harder to find or craft, so good luck with that. And get some good other stats like fire damage, crit multiplier, critical strike chance. Sambar scepters are also very good because they have 6% penetration. And also spell damage if you can craft. Make sure you have a trigger a socketed spell on one of your scepters and use Wave of Conviction, Culling Strike, and Purifying Flame. You don't have to use Purifying Flame, you can go with a curse like Flammability, or if you want more defense, just go Enfeeble. Purifying Flame sends a Consecrated Ground, but I didn't have Battle Fate at first, so maybe I can change this one now. So this is it. So a little regeneration on it, but as I said earlier, I have Battle Fate now, so maybe this doesn't make sense. But Wave of Conviction is a must. Don't level this, by the way. Leave it at level 1, because I think the damage changes if you level it. You want your Wave of Conviction to deal fire damage as highest. So right now it deals over 1000 fire damage, but if you level the gem, it's also gonna increase physical damage. So maybe, but I don't think it does physical exposure. I'm not sure. So just leave it at level 1. Make sure that its highest damage is fire damage. So what does it do? It exposure applies -25 to elemental resistance, matching highest damage taken. So it basically means more fire damage for us. So it's a big damage increase. And since it is in a trigger socketed, it is doing it itself. Of course, it has a little cooldown. Also, you have Culling Strike on it, so you just instantly kill bosses with less than 10% HP. So it's a very good synergy on your weapon. For your helm, Flamethrower 2 additional flames if you are playing with flamethrowers. That increases your flamethrower damage a lot, so make sure you get one. Since we are dual wielding and not playing with a bow, you don't have a 6-link flamethrower, so you need to increase that flamethrower's damage so it can do some decent damage. So you can see that I have socketed gems deal 30% more elemental damage. So you get this one with Essence of Horror. So just buy from other players and keep trying until you get some life. Maybe resist. Maybe you've noticed that I have an Elder base helmet, but I couldn't get The reason for that is on Elder base helmets there is Socketed Gems has consecrated effect support or immolate support. They both work for flamethrower traps. But I couldn't get one with those, so I stopped here. You can even, try more and get at least one of those, so it will make your flamethrower 6 link basically. So you will even deal more damage. So there are lots of potentials of increasing your damage even more, which I don't have. So the damage is actually way more higher if you can invest. So if you also have an open suffix, make sure prefix, I'm sorry. Make sure you craft +1 level of socketed AoE gem, so this increases your flamethrower's level by 1, and also 2 levels from weapon, so it's now 24 level. Gem setup is, they are all in the guide, so just check those. I don't wanna mention about those much. And what else? Does regular gloves with mana. If you can get one with added fire damage against burning enemies, this also works. Life mana resist. So this one has dodge spell that I talked about earlier. So it's a nice survival bonus. And the flasks are similar. The only different one is Bottled Fate, which I mentioned earlier. So if you have the money, this is a very good flask. And if you are also playing as Inquisitor, which has immune to elemental ailments while on consecrated ground. So with Bottled Fate, actually you can probably drop Saboteur maybe and play Inquisitor Pathfinder. So you have infinite usage of Bottled Fate, and you are gonna basically be immune to elemental all the time. So that can be good. Because Bottled Fate, let's go here. This hideout doesn't have enough space. But it is visible, okay. So it has a very big space. You can see that, very big consecrated ground, so I'm basically immune to elemental ailments if I am walking here. If you are playing Inquisitor as your subclass. So it can be good. I guess that's about everything. We can maybe take a little peek at the path of building for people. So yeah, let me tell you this. Most people, I sometimes get some questions. They are like, why is my damage way lower? I have similar gear, something like that. Alright, so make sure you go to configuration. You get power charges all the time, friends charges, flask active. If your flask is active, you don't have to pick this one, but just pick it. It doesn't change anything because we have already diamond flask. So here is what most people forget to tick. You see the damage increase. Why is that happening? Because fire trap deals, where is it? The bottom line. Added fire damage against burning enemies, and that is a very huge amount. Same thing works for flamethrower. 25% more damage against burning. So make sure you tick these ones. And also you realize that I have elemental focus on my flamethrower. This means that flamethrower cannot deal elemental ailment, so that more damage against burning normally shouldn't work. But you throw some fire traps first and burn the target, then flamethrowers. That way you get that benefit. So do not just throw flamethrowers, make sure you throw some fire trap first. That is very important. Also you are using combustion on your fire trap, so that's another reason to throw fire traps first, because it also lowers enemies' fire resistance. So they have a huge synergy between them. And also Tiki Shaper Guardian, of course. And I think that's it. Yeah, I'm very tired, guys. This one was very long, but there will be time stamps, of course, in the description. So make sure you watch only the appropriate sections. Again, if you missed anything, and please read the guide, because I'm sure I missed a lot of stuff. I can't cover everything because I don't have anything written in front of me. I'm just, speaking from nothing, yeah. And that's it. There's also, since we are in path of building, I prepared this like 2 leagues ago, so it can help some maybe players with leveling. So make sure you click these and check if there's any gaps. Also you can see them if you hover. So start leveling with explosive, I said, and put a level 1 explosive here and flame dash. So just check these ones as you level if you are not familiar with what's going on while leveling. And yeah, that's it. Message me in game or leave a comment down below or in the forum post, of course, and I will see you next time.